Good evening, good evening. Welcome to Interesting Talks with Footprints. Hopefully you're well and hopefully your glass is half full rather than half empty. And as we know, we can always top it back up no matter where we are in life. Today's talk is going to be about counselling and our first session of counselling and what people can get from counselling and how it works in general. Get these kind of questions all the time. Can counselling help me? Is it used for all the millions of questions, to be fair, loads. So this is basically just going to give you a little example of what to expect. So the first time when you meet your therapist will give you a contract. They'll discuss a contract with you. That'll involve time boundaries of what can be said and what can't be said, as in anything can be said confidentially and it can't be given to anybody else unless by court order, except for if you're going to harm yourself, commit acts of terrorism or harm other people. Such things like that will definitely come out of the boundary system of confidentiality. But any therapist, as in what I also do with my clients, is I say to them, if I'm going to mention this to anybody else, I will mention it to you first before I take it outside of this room. Now, there's different kinds of therapy. But one of the key things about all therapeutic interactions with clients and therapists is the relationship. So it's possibly on the therapist to help make you feel comfortable in your very first session and put you at ease. That's really their job. For your part of it, you need to be very honest with your therapist and tell them exactly what's going on for you. And try to, just use plain words, whatever language you use, the therapist will definitely check in with you to make sure that they're following your story correctly. So don't try to be somebody else, just be yourself when you're in therapy. So first one that I would look at would be cognitive behavior therapy. Now with that, the therapist will probably give you homework to go home with, thought processes to be changed, and it's all about cognitive behavior basically. So how you think, you can change the way you think by explaining how you think now, and then a corrective thinking can be added to it, or a reframing thinking pattern can be added to your thinking that you're having at the moment. And sometimes we get all these kind of irrational thoughts that a therapist can look at and explain to you possibly where they're coming from, how you can change them, and how you can proceed. Then we've got the person-centered. The person-centered therapist listens to you. You really basically have got all the answers, but you need them teased out of you. So a therapist will listen to you intently, like all therapists do anyway, but specifically there. And there'll be little interaction from the therapist, just really barely minimum. On the training, we're told to do, I think it's 70-30 or 80-20. So 80% client, 20% the therapist, or 70-30, 70% the client, 30% the therapist in their interactions. And so we listen to you and we tease out what you think might be the best solution for your situation. And key thing, what we definitely give you is 100% listening, 100% listening skills. So we won't be looking at our watch. We certainly won't be looking at our phone. We won't be looking at the clock. We won't be looking at the window. We will be looking at you and listening to you intently to listen to your story. And you will feel heard, which is what you don't necessarily get from friends and family. On the other ways is psychodynamics. Now there's about 400 different styles of therapy. So it depends on what therapist you go to, what styles you get. But these are the very common ones that I know of at the moment. So the third one I'm going to talk about is psychodynamics. So again, the therapist will listen to you and find out what you're coming from and listen to your story and check in with you. What you're saying is what you want to be saying. What you're saying is what the therapist is hearing. But psychodynamic will probably look at what's happened to you in your past life, in your even in your childhood, for your relationships with your siblings, relationship with school teachers, may possibly issues that might have taken place at school or in the home, or in jobs, formative years that have happened to you, things that have happened in the past, basically. So those are the three main core styles of therapy that you can expect to get from a therapist. And usually after your very first session, you'll have an idea if you want to continue to work with that therapist, if there is some seeds of a bond there to be established between you and that therapist. And if you're not quite sure, have a sleep on it and then contact the therapist the next day. Let them know if you want to go ahead with further sessions and stuff like that. There's some links. There's going to be links on the bottom of this video that you could contact me directly if you want to see me as a therapist. I'm taking on clients at the moment. I've usually always got room to take on at least 1 or 2 per week, depending on how busy I am. But usually there's a space for at least 1 or 2 extra clients every week. So yeah, that is what you can expect from therapy. As I've said, make sure you're honest. Tell your therapist what you're there for. They would, definitely listen to your story especially in your first session, to make sure that they know what you're saying, what you want to say. They would usually ask you what you want to get out of these sessions. And again, be forthright in that and say exactly what you want to get out of these sessions. And, usually with my clients, I like them to keep a journal if they don't mind. So you can keep a running commentary of what's happening for you in the sessions, what's happened to you outside of the sessions, and key learning points, what you might discover in the sessions and of course at home. So this is a short video just to give you an overview of what to expect when you see your therapist or when you're going into therapy. I've tried to demystify it for you because, to be fair, throughout a lifetime, from 0 to the age of 80, there will be challenging situations that we come across that are possibly out of the remit of talking to friends and family, and you don't necessarily want them to know exactly how you're feeling and what you're feeling. But if you see a therapist, that's priceless. It's priceless to be able to talk to somebody who's really listening to you, who's 100% on your side, and has got no dog in the fight because they don't know you. They're not going to judge you. They're not got an opinion. They're not going to sway you to either break up with a partner or stay with a partner. They're not going to ask you to, leave a job or not leave a job. Their job is to listen to you and make suggestions at the most. So, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Do leave your comments, tell me what you think of it, share with friends and family, and into 2 weeks' time, take good care of yourself. Bye for now.